convinced him to kill her mom. Mm-hmm. So I guess this is the point where they start devising the plan. And I say they, but to me, from what I've seen and heard, it's all Gypsy.
Right.
I mean, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong or if y'all feel any different.
I think in the beginning, the idea was hers. She's the Charles Manson of this. I think that the overwhelming outcome that he thought would happen consumed him, which is just him being with her forever and ever in a fairy tale.
Yeah.
Probably pushed him to the point where he was like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I don't think he's totally innocent into the fact that he had a motive of doing what he did. Right. And the motive was being with her, but it was her that created that fantasy for him, which allowed him to do that.
Right. So
she was the manipulator. He was the perpetrator. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. Well, she also, like, from what I've seen and heard, that she kept telling him the only way they can be together is if she's dead.
Right.
So,
which
it's being beaten to his head constantly. And then that's when we get to the point where he's like, all right, tonight's the night.
Yeah, that gets to the point where it's like, I don't want to do this, but in order for me to be with you, I got to do it. And like you said, she was beating that into his head until eventually he convinced himself that this was the only way.
Right. So he gets his ticket. He comes to town. They have the plan where he's going to
sneak in the back
door.
The gloves,
the knife. She gave it all to him.
She ran into the bathroom and locked the door and covered her ears, is what she said.
Yeah, yep. And then that's when he jumped on top of Gypsy's mom, Dee Dee.
Who was sleeping.
And
stabbed her 17 times in the back. And she bled out in a pool of her own blood on the bed.
Yeah.
Crying out for Gypsy
to help her.
And then afterwards, they had sex in Gypsy's room. Then they packed bags and then
stole thousands of dollars.
$4,000 and hid it back to his house, back to Wisconsin.
And mailed the murder weapon to his home.
And there's video surveillance of them traveling. That there's videos of them in the motel room afterwards where Gypsy is highly giggity.
And just walking around like totally happy and like nothing had just happened.
If you see that video of them like laying in the bed, like he has a smile, but he's not like overwhelmingly happy. He does smile, and she's just giggling her fucking ass off.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell that he did something he didn't want to do.
Yeah, he immediately, I don't know if he regretted it, but I think he knew the weight of the situation. Like it was sitting on him, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh shit. Like that type of deal. And I think that Gypsy knew exactly what was going on, and, which is why she made that Facebook post. Because if you read the Facebook post, it sounds like he wrote it.
Right.
But it was her.
Which is further...
I think that was her covering her ass. If they ever got caught, she could go back to that and be like, nah, he wrote that. He killed my mom and then blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Because for a couple of days, they thought that, an intruder broke in, killed the mom, and stole the handicapped daughter.
Right.
That was the assumption until this fucking stupid Facebook post was posted, which ultimately, led to them being captured. But when they got to Wisconsin, they were staying with, I guess, his parents or whatnot, and they wasn't on the run long. It was like 4 days.
4 days.
So, and then one thing I want to talk about is the interrogation slash, when they had him in the room and Gypsy's on the couch And the detective is like, your mom's dead. And then he goes on to say something else. She's like, wait, what? She's dead? You know, she totally acted like every other fucking guilty person that knew exactly what was going on when they were being interrogated for a murder.
Right.
And she lied about the whole. Not only did she lie about she didn't know her mom was dead, but the detective said, "Did you know she was dead?" You know, like straight up, like, okay, did you do it? No, I didn't do it. Did you know that she was dead, though? In other words, did you know that he did it? And she said no. She denied it to the very end until she couldn't deny it. Mm-hmm. Which, if she really thought that the sympathy from her childhood could save her from this murder, you would think that she would have went with that right away. I think that she didn't know that, and I think an attorney put that in her head.
Yeah.
An attorney, the moment she talked with an attorney, the attorney said, "Oh my God, all this craziness that you went through, we have a defense here."
Yeah.
And when they went to trial, you know, since Gypsy did not necessarily kill her mom, she was charged with second-degree murder,
which is crazy because it should have been premeditated.
Yeah, it should have been premeditated, but she was,
because it was.
Right.
She was charged with second-degree murder, and Nick was charged with first-degree murder. Gypsy's sentence only carried out a 10-year sentence. Nick's sentence carried out life without parole plus 25 years. So now we got a situation of the manipulator and the planner and the premeditator getting off very easy, and the I guess you could call him a victim, right? A victim of Gypsy manipulation.
I mean, honestly, he was to Gypsy what Gypsy was to her mom.
Yeah. That was what I was leading to. Like, how can people look at her as a victim and be sympathetic towards her and be happy that she's now out of prison, and they can't see the same thing to Nick that Gypsy did to Nick?
Oh, I can tell you why, and I hate to say it, but it's because she's a woman and he's a man.
And I think that the abuse,
the long history of the abuse
is overwhelming to people. People cannot get past the crazy abuse that she took, right? And
because that did happen. She was abused.
Yeah, that did happen. But the thing about it is, people are treating it as because she had this abuse that she is responsible for absolutely nothing, which is bullshit.
Yeah.
It is bullshit.
There's people that's been through a lot of things similar or maybe even worse than what she went through. And they have done awful things, and they have been held accountable for what they've done.
Right.
And you can sympathize and say, well, maybe if this didn't happen, this wouldn't happen.
And there's also people who have, like you said, have been through extremely difficult things as well, if not worse, who haven't had the desire or like the actions of planning out that person's murder.
Right.
Like, you have to have something evil within you to actually plan and execute someone's death.
Right. And before we get too off track, she did 8 out of the 10 years in prison. She was paroled just last month in December of 2023. In 2022, she met another guy, and she actually got married while she was in prison. So when she got out of prison, she had a place to go. She was already married. She's on the she's on the tour, as they say, hitting all the talk show circuits. She just a couple days ago, she released what they call an ebook that she written.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
No shit.
Of course. So, I mean, So while you thinking that she is hitting the talk shows, telling her story, she's also just promoting her fucking book too. So that and now she's being treated like a hero and a superstar by people out there, you know. And my personal opinion is I'm torn because her mom was a sick individual, and she I don't want to sit here and say she deserved to die or whatever, but she deserved to be brought to justice, whatever your form of justice is. However, Gypsy is not taking, I don't know, like it's really weird how people are treating her, because she's saying that, yeah, I told him to kill her. I told him. Like, it's almost like I told him to kill her, but it's still not my fault. And people are buying that shit. People are literally, or it's almost like she's saying, yeah, I told him to kill her.
But I'm not the one who did it.
But I'm not the one who did it. And it's almost like people are like, I don't care. I don't really care if you told him to do it. I'm just glad she's dead and you're out of prison, and that's the bottom line. That's the narrative here.
Right.
I'm telling you, it would be different if she was a guy. I'm telling you.
Well, yeah, I think it'd be different as well. I think it'd be way fucking different. If she was a guy, she'd still be in prison right now.
100%.
I think the overwhelming sympathy that she's gotten is because that she's a woman.
100%. Like,
because there's no sympathy for Nick.
None.
Right.
Even though he's
mentally retarded.
He's mentally.
Do you think there's no sympathy for him, or do you think that there's more people out there that do feel sympathy for him like we do, who are just almost too afraid to talk about it because everyone is so like praise Gypsy?
I think
and
that
it goes against the narrative.
I think that the loonies came out first.
Yeah.
The loonies beat us, like the ones that praise her, like I call them Gypsy stands at this point.
Yeah.
Like they immediately like jump to like hooray, balloons and cake for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, and then people like us who are rational are like, well, wait a minute, let's step back and take a look at this. And honestly, that goes to show you that there's so many people in society that are fucked up, in my opinion.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
There's way more people that, you know, have praised her. And then, you know, when I remember when you said about the Gypsy Rose thing a couple weeks ago, when it was like when she had just gotten out of prison, like the day she got out of prison. And like, I thought about it that night when you said it, and I put something on Facebook, and I'm like, well, what about the dude? Right. You know, that's what I immediately thought. And I was just, you know, hooray, she's a hero, she's this and she's that. And that's the only thing I could think of. Well, what about the dude that she manipulated to do this? I mean, she's out living her life, and he's spending the rest of his life in prison. That doesn't seem fair. And then slowly but surely over the last couple of weeks, there's been more and more people coming out, speaking out against it.
Right.
And having the same thoughts. And that's pretty much what inspired us to do this podcast, because not only did we think that she's not as genuine as she comes off as, but Nick needs a little bit more. He needs some justice here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I truly believe that if he wasn't in love with her, he wouldn't have killed anybody. I believe she is the sole reason why he killed somebody.
I do too.
Yeah.
But my thing is it that Nick needs justice, or is that she needs to be in fucking prison? That's what I'm battling with. Okay, because there's a woman that is dead, right?
Yeah.
Her mom's dead. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm with you. Her mom wouldn't be dead if it wasn't for Gypsy.
Right.
Because this was Gypsy's idea. This was Gypsy's plan. I do believe that Nick is mentally
easily duped.
Well, he's not incapable of being a functional human.